Chapter 2, Surah Baqarah, Part 6, Segment 5, Laws and Rituals of the New Ummah. After creating the new Ummah with a separate Qibla, the laws and rituals of the Ummah were given. Thus, the Ummah was properly constituted. In this surah, Allah provided the foundational laws of the Ummah. Although several additional laws were revealed later in response to specific situations, the basic laws of the Ummah are contained in this surah. This surah can be considered the constitution of the Ummah. Section 23 of Chapter 2, verse 158 to 163. Rituals relating to Kaaba. Behold, Safa and Marwa are among the rituals of Allah. So if those who visit the house in the season, or at other times compass them round, it is no sin in them. And if anyone obeys his own impulse to good, be sure that Allah is He who recognizes and knows. Remarks. Allah recognizes one's own impulse to good. One's way of worship may look different from the way followed in Kaaba, but one cannot be stopped. Circumambulating the Kaaba might seem like idol worship to some people. It is a practice from the time before Prophet Muhammad, Pbuh. Additionally, running between Safa and Marwa has no apparent reason other than being a tradition of the Quraysh tribe, stemming from their mother Hajar's search for water. The verses mentioned have elevated these actions to religious rituals by declaring them as rituals of Allah. In these cases, Allah has recognized people's natural impulses towards good, as the verses say, it is no sin in them. Verse 159 to 160. Verily, those who conceal the clear proofs, evidences, and the guidance after we have made it clear for the people in the book, they are the ones cursed by Allah and cursed by the cursors, except those who repent and do righteous deed and openly declare, to them I turn, for I am oft returning, most merciful. Remarks. The Jews had their temple on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, built by Solomon. They followed specific rituals based on clear proofs, evidence, and guidance. The rituals were intensive. In later times, the rituals were concealed, and those responsible were cursed. Intensive rituals are prone to deviation and can overshadow the primary acts of prayer. Muslims are given a few straightforward rituals related to the Kaaba, ensuring that the focus remains on the core aspects of worship. It is not the rituals, but the faith that counts. Verse 161 to 163. Those who reject faith and die rejecting, on them is Allah's curse, and the curse of angels, and of all mankind. They will abide therein. Their penalty will not be lightened, nor will they be reprieved. And your God is one God. There is no God but He, most gracious, most merciful. Remarks. The rituals of Hajj are given in the Quran. Several rituals originated from prophets, Pbuh, own impulse to good. We follow him. If he was running, we run. If he was throwing, we throw. Finally, standing on the Mount of Arafat, he delivered his lecture, giving direction to his Ummah, and became happy, and said, "This is Hajj," or words to that effect. The main aim of attending Arafat is to hear the lecture of the highest Islamic leadership. Section 24 of Chapter 2, verse 164 to 167. Cut off relation with them. Behold, in the creation of the skies and lands, in the alternation of the night and the day, in the sailing of the ships through the ocean for the profit of mankind, in the rain which Allah sends down from the skies, and the life which He gives therewith to an earth that is dead, in the beasts of all kinds that He scatters through the earth, in the change of the winds and the clouds which they trail like their slaves between the sky and the earth, indeed, are signs for a. Yet there are men who take others besides Allah as equal. They love them as they should love Allah. But those of faith are overflowing in their love for Allah. If only the unrighteous could see, behold, they would see the punishment, that to Allah belongs all power, and Allah will strongly enforce the punishment. Then those who are followed would clear themselves of those who follow. They would see the penalty, and all relations between them would be cut off. And those who followed would say, if only we had one more chance, we would clear ourselves of them as they have cleared themselves of us. Thus will Allah show them their deeds as regrets, nor there will be a way for them out of the fire. Section 25 of Chapter 2, verse 168 to 171. Food halal. Haram, O you people. Eat of what is on earth lawful and clean, and do not follow the footsteps of Satan. For he is to you an avowed enemy, for he commands you what is evil and shameful, and that you should say of a law of which you have no knowledge. When it is said to them, follow what Allah has revealed, they say, nay, we shall follow the ways of our fathers. What? Even though their fathers were void of wisdom and guidance? The parable of those who reject faith is as if one were to shout like a goatherd to things that listen to nothing but calls and cries, deaf, dumb, and blind. They are void of wisdom. Remarks. People develop their taste for food in childhood from their mothers. For example, if a mother likes to eat snails and feeds them to her children, the children will develop a taste for them. Snails are not haram. Mothers usually cook what fathers want to eat, so ultimately, father's food habit trickles down to the children. Sometimes people are driven by the provocation of Satan. One may not have the habit of eating the flesh of a swine, but may eat out of provocation. Allah wants people to eat what is lawful and good. If their fathers were eating unlawful food, they should leave it now. Verse 172 to 176. O you who believe, eat of the clean things that we have provided for you, and be grateful to Allah if it is Him you worship. He has only forbidden you dead meat and blood and the flesh of swine, and that on which any other name has been invoked besides that of Allah. But if one is forced by necessity, without willful disobedience, nor transgressing due limits, then is he guiltless. For Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. Verily, those who conceal what Allah has sent down of the book, and purchased a small gain therewith, they eat into their bellies nothing but fire. Allah will not speak to them on the day of resurrection, nor purify them, and theirs will be a painful torment. They are the ones who buy error in place of guidance and torment, in place of forgiveness. Ah! What boldness for the fire! Because Allah sent down the book in truth. But those who seek causes of dispute in the book are in a schism far. Remarks. A food is edible if it is halal and clean, tayyib. Halal or haram is decided by Allah, while the eater decides if it is clean or unclean. For instance, beef is halal, but if it is rotten or mixed with an inedible substance, the eater may not consume it. But Islamic jurists have declared all animals without divided hoofs unclean. They have done this according to the Torah, and they cite hadiths to support their position. However, these hadiths must be concocted because the Prophet, PBUH, did not order anything contrary to the Quran. The matter is further discussed in Section 2 of Chapter 5. Section 26 of Chapter 2. Lifestyle of righteousness. It is not righteousness that you turn your faces towards east or west, but it is righteousness to believe in Allah and the Last Day, and the Last Day, and the angels, and the book, and the messengers. To spend of your substance out of love for Him, for your kin, for orphans, for the needy, for the wayfarer, for those who ask, and for the ransom of slaves. To perform as-salat and give zakat, to fulfill the contracts which you have. Such are the people of truth, and they are al-muttaqin. Discussion al-muttaqi is oath-bound, bay'ah, to the highest Islamic leadership, halif, to struggle for the cause of Islam. But the political orientation is not enough to be a perfect muttaqi. one has to do what is said in the above verses. He has to be an example, so that others are attracted to Islam. Only then can Islam be preached through him by means of struggle and warfare. Section 27 of Chapter 2, verse 178 to 179. Murder, O you who believe. The law of equality in punishment is prescribed to you in cases of murder. The free for the free, the slave for the slave, the woman for the woman. But if the brother of the slain makes any remission, then grant any reasonable demand and compensate him with handsome gratitude. This is a concession and a mercy from your Lord. After this, whoever exceeds the limits shall be in grave penalty. In the law of equality, there is life to you, O you men of understanding, that you may restrain yourselves. Discussion. The above verses introduce the law of compensation for murder. If Mr. X has killed a free man, compensation should be a free man. If a slave, a slave. If a woman, a woman. But where can Mr. X get a free man or a woman to compensate the next of kin? Here comes the law of blood money. Mr. X may be ordered to pay as follows. Free man equals 100 camels. Woman equals 100 cows. Salve equals 100 sheep. However, the brother of the slain can reduce the compensation. Mr. X should pay the compensation to the next of kin. Section 28 of Chapter 2, verse 180 to 182. Bequest. It is prescribed, when death approaches any of you, if he leaves any goods, that he make a bequest to parents and next of kin according to reasonable manners. A duty upon al-mutakin. If anyone changes the bequest after hearing it, the guilt shall be on those who make the change, for Allah hears and knows. But if anyone fears partiality or wrongdoing on the part of the testator and makes peace between, there is no wrong in him, for Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. Remarks. In Chapter 4, the Quran gives rules of inheritance. But, according to the above verse, one may make bequest for parents and next of kin, children, because some of them may be poor and deserve more. The verses allow making bequests for parents and next of kin only. One is not allowed to make bequests for anybody else, even for a religious or charitable organization. If one wants to give to charity, one should do so in one's lifetime. Section 29 of Chapter 2, verse 183 to 187. Fasting, O you who believe. Fasting is prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those before you, that you may self-restraint for a fixed number of days. But if any of you is ill or on a journey, the prescribed number from days later. For those who can do it is a ransom, the feeding of one that is indigent. But he that will give more of his own free will, it is better for him. And it is better for you that you fast, if you only knew. Ramadan is the month in which was sent down the Quran as a guide to mankind, also clear for guidance and judgment. So every one of you who is present during that month should spend it in fasting. But if anyone is ill or on a journey, then the prescribed period by days later. Allah intends every facility for you. He does not want to put to difficulties to complete the prescribed period, and to glorify Him in that He has guided you, and perchance you shall be grateful. When my servants ask you concerning me, I am indeed close. I listen to the prayer of every suppliant when he call on me. Let them also with a will listen to my call, and believe in me, that they may walk in the right way. Permitted to you on the night of the fasts is the approach to your wives. They are your garments, and you are their garments. Allah knows what you used to do secretly among yourselves, but He turned to you and forgave you. So, now associate with them, and seek what Allah has ordained for you, and eat and drink, until the white thread of dawn appear to you distinct from its black thread. Then complete your fast till the night appears. But do not associate with your wives while you are in retreat in the mosques. Those are limits of Allah. Approach not nigh thereto. Thus does Allah make clear His verses to men, that they may learn self-restraint. Discussion. A few questions are asked sometimes on the above verses. The following discussion may answer those. The above verses highlight that one has to fast throughout the entire month of Ramadan. The verses also mention how to compensate if one or more days are missed for the reasons specified. The phrase, until the white thread of dawn appears to you distinct from its black thread, may create confusion for some. One might think that a white thread of cloth becomes properly white and distinct when the 7 colors of the sun fall on it. This occurs when the sun becomes bright at dawn, just after the red sun. The verses state that one has to fast until the night. Then complete your fast till the night appears. Some might say that night appears as soon as the sun sets in the west. Others might say that night appears after it becomes dark, about an hour after sunset. Actually, with regard to such religious rituals, the Prophet, PBUH, established traditions among Muslims. A tradition does not change. One may follow the traditions of Medina, or one may follow the traditions of Kufa. Section 30 of Chapter 2, verse 188. Economic policy and debate. And do not eat your properties among yourselves wrongfully, and present it to the authorities, so that you may eat a portion from the wealth of the people sinfully, while you know. Discussion. The verse is clear about the embezzlement of public money through bribery. However, bribery may also relate to theft and robbery, for which punishment may be given accordingly. Section 31 of Chapter 2, verse 189. New moon. They ask you concerning the new moons. Say, they are but signs to mark fixed periods of time in men, and for pilgrimage. It is no virtue if you enter your houses from the back. It is virtue if you fear Allah. Enter houses through the proper doors, and fear Allah that you may prosper. Discussion. During Jahiliyyah, people used to enter house from the back upon assuming ihram, if they needed to return. The practice got discontinued after this verse.